record this for folks who couldn't make it. But a massive welcome to everyone who's joined us. We're really grateful and excited to have you all here today. I just want to first quickly do a quick introduction of us and the team. We'll go through the team just to share who we are. And then today we'll be taking a bit of a deeper dive into Kelvin, explain exactly what we are, what we do, who we are, what we do, and a little bit about the work that we've been doing in Tulare County to support you all. So my name's Ari Poyas. I'm actually originally from South Africa. So you'll hear a bit of a different accent over here. If you don't understand me, feel free just to raise your hand or put something in the chat. But anyway, I've been at Kelvin for 2 years, work as the head of education over here. So I support folks like you doing the good work that you're all doing. Yeah, just a real privilege to be here today. I'm going to hand over to Jimmy and Jill. First to Jimmy, then to Jill, just to introduce themselves and share a little bit about who they are. And then we'll go from there.
Hey everybody, I'm Jimmy Hudson. I'm the senior account executive here at Kelvin. I help do the sales process, get the paperwork going for everybody. I'm a former educator, spent 16 years in the classroom, 3rd, 4th, and 8th grade, and 16 years in ed tech. So welcome, glad you're here, and pass it over to Jill, wherever you are on the screen.
I was just coughing, so I'm glad I'm sick today, sorry. Okay. Hi, I'm Jill. I was also a teacher for 11 years before moving to education technology, and I'm your customer success manager. So I am your person for Tulare. Fun fact, I grew up in Fresno, so I know a lot about Tulare. And I'd be with you from start to finish. Whenever you need help, just give me a call, and I help train and I help support, and that's it. Now I'll go back on mute so I can cough again.
Thank you, Jill. Feel better. And we just want to first take a moment to say a massive thank you to Laurie and the county office for all the work that you've done to help support Kelvin, the work that we're doing. We'll talk about it more in depth as we move on with our demo today, with our presentation. But Kelvin really is, it's actually fully funded for the 24-25 school year through the CalHope grant. So this is something that's coming free, almost pretty much free to you for your student and staff surveys. So that's something we'll discuss over, and we've been collaborating with county offices across the country. So we're really excited to be here today to be presenting and for all the support that we've had. But before we kind of jump into it, we want to do a check-in with you all. And since we are a data company and we want to really elevate the stories of the students and the staff and families, we want to take a moment just to do a quick little check-in. And if anyone would like to share, feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand. You can also put in the chat, what is one highlight from your school year so far? So we're coming over to the end of the school year, and we love asking these type of relational questions in our survey platform. So if anyone would like to unmute or share with us, that would be fantastic. Or type in the chat. It would be great to just share a bit of positivity to get our day going.
I'll start.
Go for it, Heather.
I work with Lori. So this year is part of an improvement network, a college readiness improvement network that we are part of. We delivered these reports to students called college roadmaps, and it gives them sort of a summary of where they are in terms of their progress along towards college readiness and high school graduation. And it was this big production to get these reports out. It was like 10,000 reports that we delivered to students along with counselors, and it went really well. They were really well received, and ultimately we were able to do a focus group with students to kind of get their feedback, and it was really great to see how excited they were and interested they were, and how motivated they were to see this is where I am, and now I want to try to get to the next lane. I want to see this again next year so I can see if I've progressed. So it was just really rewarding after all this work that we did to get these reports out, to see that, oh, the kids actually really benefited from it. They really liked these and saw value in them.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing, Heather. And that aligns so wonderfully and sets us up for the work that we're doing over here today. So we really appreciate that. Would anyone like to share before we jump into it? Maybe we'll give opportunity for one more person to share.
Yeah, if you just want to share in this chat, you can. If you're not a one to want to talk, especially on Zooms.
I
I'm
would
going to
just
share.
say, I would just say too that, I get a chance to work with the school counselors in the county and 2 counties actually. And just love being in space with them, all of those things, all of that work is a highlight, but just seeing the work, I mean, I think this tool, that's why I wanted to help bring it to the group to talk about being a free resource, but really like the more we're using data to help our kids, there's just so much to do and so many kids to help. Like, how can we really start to focus and being able to have tools to help us do our job more effectively when you just, it's just can be very overwhelming, I think is like amazing. So
Thank you for sharing, Laurie. And I should actually taken a moment to let you introduce this and kick this off. So I appreciate that you got the opportunity and the time to do it now. So thank you. Great. Appreciate you all sharing. So we're going to jump into it. And what we love to do is always share our story because this really sets us up for why we do the work that we do. And I would love to introduce our founder, Zach. Now, on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see Zach's report card. You can see Zach was almost the perfect academic student. High GPA, no attendance problems, no behavior struggles, honors classes. Zach on paper was a great academic student. But what happens is Zach actually ended up dropping out of high school. And the reason he dropped out of high school were because of the social and emotional factors which weren't taken into account in his life. Now, to speak to Zach's story personally, he shared it with me a few times, and Zach said that, because of complicated family struggles, he found himself moving from school to school, from district to district, and never felt that sense of belonging anywhere he went. And because of not feeling that sense of belonging, that is the reason he dropped out. And that's really the reason why Kelvin exists today. Now, for so many schools, what we only see are the things above the surface, the assessment, attendance, and behavior. But we don't often see what's going on beneath the surface for our students. Well, maybe some people on this call do. You probably get the glimpse into what's going on behind a student, but unless it's prompted or a student comes to you, we don't see this naturally. Now, a student could be going through something difficult, feeling like they don't have any friends. They might want to share some positive feedback that they're grateful for their family, but they don't necessarily always have the space to do this. As we mentioned, we only see that assessment, attendance, and behavior. So, what we wanted to do is really elevate and understand student voice. We wanted to go and ensure that all these things that are beneath the surface are kind of brought to the surface. And so we can understand, the whole child. We can understand if a student's going through a tough time, what's going on specifically in their life and how we can support them. And that's really what Kelvin is about. We are about really elevating, Laurie said it earlier, it's, hearing those stories, using data. I think often we hear the word data and we get a little bit, frightened and scared because that's normal. However, what we try to do is tell you the entire story. And hopefully by showing you our tool today, we're going to show you how we do that in a teacher-friendly and student-friendly type of way. Now, and to speak to that, kind of just a quick little bit about why Kelvin before we jump into the actual tool and show you what it's like, is some of the benefits of Kelvin is we try and meet students on their turf. We are a human-centric type of system, which you'll see right now. We don't only focus on the child, but we focus on student, staff, and family. We believe in approaching everyone for a holistic understanding of the environment and what's going on. We're also formative. Many survey tools which you have seen or worked with before are more summative type of big assessments, and we can do both. But really, we specialize in those formalized and those formative type of check-ins, and we're customizable to your context because we understand what's going on in your school or your district is different from someone else's. Also over there, we try to connect students to adults, and this is really important for you. We are the bridge between the students and between you all, the counselors, the people doing the good work. And also we've got real-time reporting to ensure that you've got the tools to understand that full story. So I'm going to go on and show you what our tool looks like. So this is Kelvin. What happens is, and I'm going to show you inside the program right now, but a little dog appears on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, of the student screen, and the dog pops up and asks the student some questions. Now, what's really important to note is the dog pops up whenever you want it to pop up, and asking the questions that you would like to ask, which I'm going to show you in a minute. And, you know, with the dog also pops up on students' birthdays because we want to be a tool that really builds a relationship and a rapport with our students. So I'm just going to go into the next tab over here and show you what this looks like. So the dog pops up on your screen and it says, "Hi there," addressing the student by name. Now, because we engage and directly connect to your student information system, this means that you do not need any demographic data which the student needs to fill out. So we don't need to ask the student which grade they're in. We don't need to ask the student their ethnicity, race, etc. We don't need to ask those things because we've already pulled in that information, meaning shorter surveys. Also, from an equity standpoint, we can administer our pulse in multiple languages, the main ones being English and Spanish, of course, but we can do them. We've got the ability to do that. So I'm going to jump into one of our pulse surveys and show you what these look like. Remember, they're completely customizable. So you can go ask a student, "Are you happy to be at this school?" And students will go along. They can select on the like it scale over here. They can pop in their answers. Do you feel like you belong at this school? Maybe the student wants to add in a comment. You can toggle comments on or off. So maybe the student feels like they do not. How safe do you feel when you're at the school? Maybe the student's feeling okay. We've also got this read aloud function over here for our younger students. So this is really helpful for our young or emergent readers, the ability to skip questions. But really what you can see over here, students just go through along and they answer the survey. Okay. Now, there are different ways of asking this. We can customize that. And you can see over here, which is really probably the most important feature or function for school counselors, is this "would you like to speak to an adult" function. So what this is something that you can toggle on or off. You can go and, you know, put this on or off if you would like before the survey. But because you saw that I went and answered more than 50% of the questions unfavorably, negatively, I went and put the nose and the sad faces. And because I did that, what happens at the end of the survey, you can toggle on or off this "would you like to speak to an adult" function. And if a student clicks yes, you will get an email notification and a notification on our backend. So if they want to go ahead and click yes, submit, and they're done. Now you're going to be able to engage with that student and see the results, but especially those ones who wrote, "I would like to speak to an adult," they will be visible to you. Now, I just want to very quickly show you what that would look like. You can see over here, students requesting to speak to an adult. You'll get an email exactly like this. So we'll say 15 requests. You can view that list over there, and you'll be able to tell which students need that support, and you'll be able to engage with them in real time. You can also see over here, we give you this email reports for overall, how students kind of answered in this report, this pulse versus last pulse. You can see the dimensions over here, which we went and measured. Those are categories or competencies, but we're going to go into a little bit more. I'm going to take a moment to pause over here and see if there are any questions from the crowd. We're working with a smaller group. And lastly, what I'll say is for students, staff, and families, this looks the exact same. That same format that you saw, the dog popping up for the students and the staff, the families, we send out a text message. And maybe before we quickly take any questions, Jimmy is actually a Kelvin parent. So maybe he just wants to quickly speak to that, what that process looks like for his child, his daughter in school, and also for parents.
Yeah, so actually I have a trifecta going on in Redlands Unified. So that's down south there. So my sister teaches, my daughter attends, and of course I'm the parent. So yeah, it's just we receive our surveys through an email, but they have the option to do it through a text if they want, and it's super easy. It takes a couple minutes. We get warned about it earlier in the year, in the summer, and my daughter talks about her surveys every now and then when they pop up. It's like 2-3 minutes out of her day, and that's it. So yeah, super easy.
Thanks for sharing, Jimmy. I want to take a moment, as I said, to pause. Any questions or thoughts before we kind of move into showing you how the data looks and how to build one of these pulses?
I have a question.
Yes.
Sorry, there's students walking by. Let me close my door. 1 second.
No problem. It kind of comes with the package of being at a school that students are going to be there.
Sorry. Okay. My question would be, so when it like the little dog that pops up, is that like if each student has a Chromebook, it kind of pops up just whenever we say that it wants to pop up? Okay. And then is there an option to do like to send them an email too? Or is it only the little dog that comes?
Yes, so you can send them an email with the link. We've got a link as long as they logged into their Google account, or if we're in Microsoft, we can discuss that how they sign on. But pretty much similar type of experience. They just log into their Google account and they can get the link and they can send it out. Jill, do you have anything to add over there to that specific question?
Yeah, there's 3 ways that the students can log in. So when the dog pops up, and it's good to know that they can snooze the dog if maybe they're taking a test or it's a fire drill, just go away and he'll come back every 3 hours. They can click on the K extension at the top. There's a Kelvin extension and that'll manually open it, or going to the URL like Ari said. So some schools put it in Google Classroom or their LMS as an assignment. And so then no dog, they would just go to the assignment or go to the link. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So is this for schools, like, is this something that they are pushing out like every week? Or like, how are they using it? And then like for the parents, is that once a year, or are they pushing this out to parents more than that?
That's a fantastic question. So first of all, thank you for your questions before, Madeline. Madeline, I really appreciate it. And Joy, that's a great question. So really, it's up to you to decide when you would like to do that, and how often you would like to do that. A general cadence would be between every 4 to 6 weeks or so for the students. That's what the research shows us on how often we should be looking into school climate and culture, because as we know, these things are shifting constantly in our schools and in our spaces. Now, different folks use it differently and for different purposes. As I'll show you very soon, it is a completely customizable tool. So we leave that to your discretion. But Jill, as our customer success manager, and also myself, from the education standpoint, are here to support you in terms of if you would like to talk about, what your cadence would look like, what that would be, and we'll try to help you give you some best practices.
I would say, and maybe I'm jumping ahead, but I know that you can kind of take some kind of survey, maybe even you're going to base some of these areas of focus on like your Healthy Kids survey or something before you launch. Like, let's say you decide, let's do this next year. You may have some areas of focus that you're going to pick particular questions, and it's my understanding too, you can even make up a particular question. So maybe you do a survey, you find some focus areas with the staff, and then like the questions that come maybe 4 or 6 weeks later, you try something like, so maybe then the counselors or teachers are trying some lessons in the classroom, and then you'll pulse check on those particular areas again. Like maybe it's just 2 or 3 questions just to see the dog pops up and see if you've made progress in that focus area for your school. Did I jump ahead?
No, that was a perfect
Yeah.
segue into the next part. So I'm actually going to take that as an opportunity to jump into the next part of our system, into our pulse creation, because I think, Laurie, what you just shared over there really segues, and I'm going to show you some practical ways that we can kind of speak to what Laurie just said. So just very quickly over here, we're on the back end of our system. We've built this to be super easy and super simple. We're on our Launchpad page over here, and you can see a few shortcuts. The one that we really need to focus on over here is those requests to speak to an adult, which I mentioned before. And this is what you'll see on the back end of our system. If there's a student who has requested to speak to you, then you'll see Ayana over here, and you'll just go and open and close off her um, her, her request once you've done that. So that's super simple, super easy. But I'm going to show you how we actually create a pulse. And we're going to go over here to our pulses now. As you can see, we've got the ability to create a student, staff, or family. Just a reminder, student and staff pulse surveys are fully funded for the 24-25 school year. Family is a little bit extra, but we can discuss that pricing with a district leader, with someone like that. But I'm going to go over here to the student pulses and, oh, perfect. Okay, I just saw a message from Heather and Laurie. I hope you're all okay. We'll just move on for the other folks and jump back on if you need. Cool. So we can see over here is building a pulse survey. So there are 3 easy steps. And Joy, this will speak to some of what you were talking about. So let's say we want to call this an SEL screener April 24. So we want to go and do an SEL screener. You can really call it whatever you like, whatever will make sense for you. Now you can select the students which you would like to ask. So if you're coming from a district position, you can select a specific school. And this is what you all would see in a specific school. You'll see your school over here. So you'll select that. Now you can decide whether you would like to ask a specific grade or everyone, a specific class or again, everyone, or specific group. And this is where it really gets interesting because you can custom create these groups or import them from your SIS. So let's say you've got an MTSS Tier 2 group, which you want to track and follow up on. You can go and do this using our system. You can go and follow up on those specific students. Let's say you've got newcomers and you want to engage with them. So to speak to your question, Joy, over there, is that if you would like to go and send 2 pulses in 2 months to newcomers and see how they are doing, new students, then you can do that. So depending on what you would like to do, that's how you build up this specific pulse. Again, you can do general screeners to go and engage with everyone. Let's just say you want to ask everyone a pulse question over here, or everyone the pulse question. You can go select that. And then you'd also decide who gets to see it. So let's say we want the counselors at Boogie Meadow. Now, again, you'll have a system admin, typically from the district, but they can give you permissions to go and see everything and create surveys. And that's something we can organize with the district admin when you bring that on. Then, as you can see over here, you can go and turn comments on or off. And then would you like to speak to an adult request that can be toggled on or off? So again, we'd love to see that. Would you like to speak to an adult, especially because the students have got support from you all, the work that you're doing, and that would really be that bridge between you and the students. Let's go to step 2 out of 2. And this is where the fun happens in my mind, is creating the questions. So you can go select from our question bank. These are all research-backed vetted questions. You can see we've got questions from CORE. We've got LCAP questions. That's, I guess, for more district leaders. And we've got questions from US Department of Ed. But you'll find the CASEL competencies. You'll find many different frameworks built within our system. And we're currently rebuilding these dimensions or these categories or competencies to make it even more simple for you all. But let's say you want to go and ask questions on sense of belonging. So you can see over here, are you happy to be at the school? You can go, and this has got Spanish translation. You can just go ahead and click add. And now you've got the question. Do you feel close to people at the school? Click add, and you've got it. maybe you want to go and search for a question on bullying. We're going to type in bully over there. Now we can go look through the questions, and this sticks out. What ideas do you have about improving student respect and safety in the school? That's an open-ended question, and you're going to get some good data from that. So now we've got 3 questions, but you're not so happy with this question for your context. Are you happy to be at the school? You can go in and you can edit it as you like. You can go and take away the emojis. You can go add options over there. You can go take away options in the Likert scale. The system is built completely customizable for your specific needs. You can also toggle between Likert, open-ended, checkbox, and multiple choice. So really, the system is built to be completely customizable to your specific needs. Let's say we want to go add in our own specific question. Now, we did questions like this, ones that you saw, at the beginning of our presentation, but we find these questions give really good insight. So what it was one highlight from your school? Yeah. Now, this really tells you what worked and what didn't in the school year. We've asked these questions before, and this is pretty tier 1, really basic stuff. You don't have to get very tier 3 straight away. And with this tier 1 type of question, students said, I love it that we got to plan a dance over there for in our school. The other question said that we loved it that you fixed or did this repair in our school. We find that these open-ended qualitative questions really share that story inside your school, inside your district, of the things that you're looking for. So let's say you're happy with this pulse survey. You're happy to go with these 4 questions. We typically recommend less than 10 questions. We're going to go ahead and hit next over here. And as we mentioned before, you can go set this out when you would like. So let's say you want this to go out on the 22nd of April. Let's say you want it to be open for 3 days. And let's say you want this from a specific time. So as I think Joe mentioned, we don't want this going off in tests and in, when things are happening. So maybe from 8 a.m. till 10 a.m. is a good time where you typically see the students. And then what's great about our system is you can get this to repeat. So again, to speak to your question, Joy, if you would like this to repeat every 3 weeks, so you'll get that formative data till the end of the school year, you go ahead and create that schedule, and bam. The questions will go out on all these dates, unless you want to change, of course. So you can go edit or delete these windows. Let's go edit this date. Let's say I wanted to go out the week after, save, and done. That's really how easy it is to build a pulse survey. Before I jump in the data, I want to take a moment to pause if there are any thoughts or questions before we jump into the last part of the demo over here. And I hope Laurie and Heather, everything's okay.
They're letting us back in the building, so.
Fantastic. Cool. Great. If there are no questions, then we'll jump into the data piece over here. And we're going to go into the last part of Kelvin. And this is the data piece, which really is the piece that is super vital for those next steps and what we would like to do. So you can see over here, we've got our Skittles menu at the top. These are our different reports over here to really try and help elevate those stories of the students, of the staff, of the families, and really help you understand what's going on. So right now we're on our summary report. You can see this pulse has been administered 3 times. And here's a summary of your results. Favorability, we had 58% down from 66% in our previous pulse. We've got 93% participation, which is fantastic. It's down from 97. The number of comments and the number of questions. We build trend lines automatically for you. So you can see these trend lines being built in. If you do multiple administrations, you can see that going. And you can also see the 2 dimensions, categories, competencies, whatever you want to call them, of what we went and measured. So we went and measured responsiveness and love and belonging. Love and belonging is at 55%. Let's take a deeper dive into love and belonging and understand what's going on over here. You can see the love and belonging trend line. And you can see we have asked 5 questions. Number one, my teachers care about me. 78%, down 1% from its previous polls. So that's pretty good. Do you feel like you belong at the school? 60%, okay. Maybe there's work to be done over there. Are you happy to be at the school? 58%, up 7% from previous polls. How safe do you feel when you're at the school? 43%, down 7%. And students respect one another in the school? 38%, down 7% from its previous polls. So now just looking at this, this can already be overwhelming with thinking what's next. So what we typically recommend is, look at those grows and those glows. What's the glow over here? One thing that is going well. My teachers care about me. Student-teacher relationships seem to be strong at this school. Whereas students respect one another at the school at 38%, those peer-to-peer relationships could be struggling. So what we do is say, typically go and celebrate those teachers. Well done. Thank you for the work that you're doing. Students respect one another at the school. Maybe we've got some work to do on those peer-to-peer relationships. And I don't think there's anyone better positioned on this call to help with those peer-to-peer relationships than the folks on this call. So really, there's great stuff that you can do with this data. Let's say you want to go and dig in a little bit deeper. You can go into our filter, and there's a filter on every single report to really filter it down to see a specific group of students. So let's say you want to look at Boogie Middle. Okay, let's say that's your school. You want to go look at the 7th graders. And let's say you want to go look at the 7th grade males. You've been having some struggle with them. If they're on non-binary students in your school, they'll pop up over here. So we want to be sure to be inclusive of everyone. But I'm going to go apply those filters over here. And now what you'll see is these 7th grade males at Boogie Middle versus everyone else in this trend line. And you'll also see their specific results. So you can see their student-teacher relationships are super strong. And they've done a lot of work to improve in that area. Whereas their students respect one another and how safe you feel in the school need a lot of work. So again, you can go filter out and understand what's going on and what's happening to who. So this is just one way we help you out understand the story of what's going on in your school. Let's maybe take a deep dive into a heat map report over here. Now, I remember looking at this for the first time. I'm feeling pretty overwhelmed by what's going on over here, but I want to break it up for you. So a heat map really shows you in a very simple way which students need assistance and which students are doing okay. So the darker the orange, the worse off the students are. The darker the blue, the better off the students are. And this trends from left to right over here. So you can see these group of students over here. This is filtered by subgroup. So you can see over here, these students in these specific subgroups are struggling, whereas these students are doing a lot better. Do you feel like you belong in the school? You can see over here, this subset of students struggling, this subset of students struggling, and you can go directly help these specific students. Whatever you pull in from your SIS, from your student information system, we can build out those groups for you. We can help ensure that you have got full view of what's going on over here. Let's say you want to go and filter this out differently. You can go filter this out by program, race, ethnicity, gender, language. Let's say grade level, we want to do that. You can see over here, you can look at this, and by just looking at this, you can see which grades need support in which areas and which grades are doing okay. 3rd graders and 4th graders generally seem to be doing pretty okay. So, maybe it's about dedicating a couple more resources to the 6th and 7th to help them in some areas. These are decisions that you can make using the data. But this really helps just give you an understanding of what's going on. I'm going to very quickly just show you 2 more reports, which are super helpful. The last one being the most helpful. But we've got a participation report over here just to see who has participated and who hasn't, who has responded and who hasn't. But the last report, it's pretty self-explanatory, that one. But the last report is the participants report. And I think this is the most vital report for any school counselor. So you can see over here, the participants report is really an understanding of how students are doing by name. So let's say you've got a student who you've been looking at, and that student's a Baldo. You notice you go into a class, maybe you do a lesson, maybe you walk in the school hall and you see a Boldo, and a Boldo's body language seems off. Maybe, he seems like he's having a tough time. You can just go up over here into our report, search a Boldo, you'll find him over there, and you can go look at his specific results. A Boldo went and answered all 9 questions in the survey. He took 10 minutes to respond, which is not typical for our surveys. He shared his name with a comment, which you'll see those comments. And he said he clicked on that, would you like to speak to an adult request? So you'll be getting a request from a Boldo. Now you'll see that a Boldo's at 0%, down 91% from his previous pulse. In my mind, a Boldo would be a tier 3 student. Potentially he's gone through, some sort of traumatic experience. And this has, really set him back. He was a 91% student before in his health and wellness. And now he's really not feeling that sense of belonging. He's really not feeling that love and belonging. And he's not doing well. So you can go and track how specific students are doing. What we typically recommend is when you get back pulse results, go just have a quick, brief look through the bottom 30% of students. And maybe over the next 4 weeks, 5 weeks, however you want to do it, is go check in with those students and see how they're doing. And again, if you see that student has taken 32 seconds to answer a 9-question survey, we say, hey, maybe this is an option to go over to D and say, hey, D, we see that you answered in 32 seconds. Like, let us know what you're thinking. And maybe, D might say something which is quite enlightening in her specific situation of why maybe D went so quickly. So that's really it. We've got a couple of other reports, our comments report, and this is something that you can use to filter through those comments. We've got some tags over here, which we try and build for you all. But really, we really try and uplift your student voice, raise that student voice, and help you understand what is going on in your specific schooling environment. So I want to take a moment to pause over there before we discuss how you can access Kelvin. I'm going to throw it over to Jimmy for that last little piece. But if there are any questions or any thoughts before we go into that last piece, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask. Ooh, Laurie, I can't hear you. I don't know if that's just me or... No problem. Go. You get that working. Any other questions before we jump into the final part? Good. Great. I'm going to go ahead back and share my screen. Feel free to stop in at any time if you've got any questions. And, I'm going to jump over here to Jimmy to share one of our experiences from a counselor. And maybe, Jimmy, you can speak to that and the last little bit of our demo over here.
Yeah. So, we reach out to our clients, our customers, and ask them if they would give us any testimonials. I'll let you guys read the one on the left, but really what the counselor found on this one was, found a student had some anger issues. They had clicked on the button that said, would you like to speak to an adult? They reached out to that student, and during that time, helped them learn some coping skills. And, it's always amazing when the student reaches out to a counselor, right? Because it's so hard to get them to do that. And when they do, and you have some success, it's pretty heartwarming for those counselors. My first teacher I worked for ended up being a school counselor, and I saw all the hard work they put in, and sometimes it gets a little frustrating. But being able to get this information and help a student, I mean, that's why we do Kelvin, is exactly why we do it. So did you want to go through the next part, or do you guys have any feedback on this? What thoughts on comments?
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Okay.
Great
I would just
trouble.
say I would like one thing, I like that it can get to that, like when you're comfortable and maybe you're doing this for a while, like you can start really like you said, tier 1 high level, I think people sometimes are nervous about getting too much information from students, as much as we, you think on the other end of it, like we really do want to know when our kids are struggling. Like it's the fear of them revealing and not knowing, but like I like that you could start easy with this, and maybe from an administrator standpoint, you're sort of like, okay, let's just take it really easy and light and figure out how we can use this, and then again, like down to the student level of being able to really bring this information to SSTs, and maybe even your 504 meetings. You're just getting a real sense of where there's opportunities to work with kids. So I just like that it can be really broad all the way down to like getting really specific with students and goals of the sites.
I wanted to share something too. I have districts that use Kelvin for like voting on prom king or queen, or they voted on a school t-shirt design. I mean, it could be used in it for anything from really simple and fun to really heavy things too as well. And once the students start seeing that dog pop up every once in a while, it's like not a big deal, and they think it's fun. And oh, I wonder what they want, to hear from me today. I wonder how my voice will be heard today. So yeah, use it for anything.
Again, like the opportunity for student voice, and that's the hard part, is the how it just feels like daunting, like, oh, we got to do another survey, oh, we got to set this up and talk to the kids about what this is, and the parent, once you kind of set this, like we're going to be doing pulse checks with kids, and the kids will get very good and used to, like you said, that dog popping up and being able to go like, I know what to do here, and then you're getting real and good information on a regular basis. It's genius. Great job.
Thanks. All right, did you want to close out the last few slides here? So we just want to make sure that you are equipped with what would we do next. So once you decide, yes, you want Kelvin, let us know. If you need a deeper dive, we're definitely able to do that for you. We send out you a contract, a data sharing agreement, basically, and once that's signed, I send you over to Jill. If you have ARIES for your student information system, it makes it super easy for us. Even though we work with all the student information systems, ARIES is our easiest one. But what we do is we connect to your data. Jill helps you get going with that. She'll show you how to use Kelvin, and then help you send out your first pulse. So Ari is one of our educational experts who will help consult with you to get your first pulse out if you need that. And that's how we get you going. Ari, you want to go to the next one now? And then we leave this for last because we are a business at the end of the day, but thank goodness for the Cal Hope grant. So it's going to allow you to have the full Kelvin with the support of Jill, dedicated customer success manager, webinars, training, with no cost, no impact to your budget for staff and students through next year. The cost, what you're saving is $1.50. So that middle pane there is what you're saving. So if you want to continue Kelvin after the grant, this is what the pricing would be. And the great thing is, through the grant, these pricings, the last two prices, the family is 50 cents. The great thing is it's locked in for 10 years. So that's pretty unprecedented in the ed tech industry. I've worked in it for 16 years. I've never seen pricing locked for any time, especially in these times. But through the Cal Hope grant, that was the negotiation, and it allows us to have this low volume pricing, so we can have this really cool tool in the schools for as long as they can. So if you're interested, we would love to continue the conversation, to get a hold of Ari and I to do another presentation, or if you just want a contract, we'll send it out. It's a digital signature. We've gotten schools up in less than a week. Last year, we got Bishop up in like a week, and they were able to do it at the very end of the school year and get a couple pulses out, and they were super excited. One of our best customers now. So yeah, we can get you going. It's super easy to do. And like I said, it's not going to impact your budget this year. And if you're under 1,000 students, we do have minimum pricing for our family and the staff and students. So it's basically $1,500 and $500. So maximum cost would be $2,000 for any districts under 1,000 students. So yeah, pretty affordable. And any questions? And
I have a
does it have
question.
answers?
Sorry.
Madeline,
Hi. Is this available for private schools? That's where I work at a private school.
you're the Central Valley Christian.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw your Instagram. It's really
Oh.
cool. Love it. It is available. However, you would have to pay that cost. It's the grant is for the public schools, but we still service private. It just would cost that
Okay.
amount.
And then can I have this to share with my administrator, or like this webinar, or is there another thing that I can share with them?
We could share the recording of this
Okay.
to you. We also have the presentation that we can send out if you'd like. And also, Madeline, we'd be glad to do it personally for them. It's not a problem for us. That's what we do.
Okay,
So if you
thank you.
wanted to schedule something with us, we'd be glad to do that.
Great, thanks.
And we'll send out some resources over there to Laurie to follow up with. So we'll have the recording over here, and we'll also have some resources how to get hold of us. You don't have to remember anything over here. Just that you want to connect with us. That's all we ask.
Yeah, I did want to mention, if you do want to get started this school year, and I know you have just a few more weeks and it might be impossible to do, but if you want to, we can get you going and get that first pulse. And if you do sign up for family, we kind of give you a grace period for the family for this remaining school year. So you're just paying for next year's, but we'll let you get in on this year's if we can get you all set up, which that's Jill's pretty darn good at that. So yeah, just want to let you know that.
I would love to get a contract sent over, and then if possible, like to get us going.
Joy, I can get you going today. Seriously. I mean, depending on Jill's workflow, but I can definitely get you a contract. I have another meeting after this, but this afternoon I can have a contract to you. I have your information already. I already looked you up. So I know you use Aries, and I know you have about 820 some odd students in your school. So that's all I need. We'll get you going.
Okay. And I mean, I'm gonna fly this by my superintendent, but I mean, this looks great, and we've been looking for a new survey and system, so I think it'll meet all our needs.
Yeah, and what's great though, I hate to say it, but you can always use it like this at a pilot year. And if it's not working out for you, you don't have to sign up for next year's renewal. But we're working really hard to make sure everybody renews and just comes on board. We know it's not 100%, but as long as we can get a majority, folks will still be around.
So the end of this school year, and then next year would be free, and then the following school year, then we would just pay the like 2,000 or whatever.
The minimum, yeah, and that's locked in. Now you don't have to lock in for 10 years, but our price is locked in for 10 years.
Okay.
So yeah, you can lock in for as many years as you want if you want to pay early or do any of that stuff. But
Okay.
that's down the road. Yeah, we really appreciate you guys being here, and Heather, if you want to reach out to us through that hello@Kelvin, we can get you all your, I meant Madeline. Sorry, I'm looking at Madeline and saying Heather. Yeah, we can get you all that information too.
Well, I would say too, like I don't want to speak for Heather, but there's a lot of our groups doing surveys and trying, and like the interface, again, like this is just like, I mean, I can't say enough good things about like how easy this is going to be and enjoyable for the students and not a pain for teachers. And that's like the goal standard, right? Like, how do we make this as easy as possible and get good data? So like, yeah, it's great, guys. We're gonna see how can we utilize this at a county level with our network. So
It does look really easy to use. And I was talking to Lori when we were waiting for the alarm to stop, that the interface looks just like really nice and simple and clean, and just really easy to use for students and staff. So that's always like a big plus. If things are like overly complicated or look kind of outdated, people kind of turn off. So I appreciate that. And I also appreciate the fact that you've built in some like accessibility features, like the questions can be read to the student and you can change the language. And you don't really get that if you're just sending students like a Google form. You just, yeah. So that's really important. But I was wondering about what's like the lift to get this set up and get connected to the SIS, because we have a lot of rural school districts that are very small and they could really benefit from this, but they don't necessarily have like a dedicated data person. It'll be like, you know, the librarian or the school secretary or something like that. So like, what's that look like?
Do you
We're
want me
gonna let Jill answer this one.
Yeah, I just onboarded this week a school with 33 students. And I just had a colleague on board a district with like no internet access because they're really rural. So we have experience with all that. And it will be a larger lift for, say, a librarian that doesn't know how to use PowerSchool or something, you know. So we're here to help. We walk you through every step of the way. We have a data team that will actually get online on a call with them and kind of walk them through. So it just depends. I mean, for those Aries districts, it takes me 2 minutes to get you flowing. But for the
I
other
think we're
ones,
all mostly Aries out here. Yeah.
yeah,
And-
Aries is just simple and easy. The other ones, I mean, I haven't had one take longer than 2-3 weeks, and that
Okay.
was one of my more difficult ones. So the lift should be light.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
you know, I don't know if you guys know, but I'm just going to list off the districts that are currently signed on to Kelvin. So you have Cutler, Orosi, Danuba. We got a verbal commitment from Farmersville. Kings River's using us. Monson, Sultana, Sequoia, Stone Coral Elementary, Sunnyside Union, and University Prep. So yeah, we're doing pretty good in Tulare, and we really
yeah,
appreciate.
that's a good group.
Yeah. So with that, Ari, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, I just wanted to say, you know, just a massive thank you for number one, the opportunity to present over here and for the work that the counselors that you folks do. I mean, I've been a little bit of suicide counseling myself when I was in South Africa doing some of this work. So, you know, facilitating that, I know the drain it takes and, you know, all the mental and emotional energy that you expend doing this work. So we appreciate from the bottom of our heart. And we're deeply grateful for the work that you're all doing. And I'm really excited to see, you know, our collaboration grow with Tulare. You know, we can start thinking about user groups and webinars and more of these type of events to help support each other do this good work. And that's what we really want to help facilitate with Kelvin. Lastly, as a company, we've got really exciting vision for what we want to bring in the social emotional learning / wellness space. We're constantly looking to innovate and, you know, and we've got the right partners to do it. We're going to do some cool things. So we're really excited to be a part of that journey with you all. And yeah, that's it from us. So I'm going to stop the recording over here, but we appreciate you all taking your time today and we look forward to working with you.